Hey everybody, this is a video for my Essential Math Grade 12s. This is the companion video to Lesson 2, where I'm going to take the same example I did in Lesson 2 and use Excel spreadsheet to do the calculations for me. I'm going to do this very slowly, assuming that whoever's watching this has maybe never used Excel before. And we're going to use it to do this particular question right here. So this is the problem that we did, or the example that we went through in the lesson. And as I was saying in the other video, Excel's a really useful thing to know how to do. It's a terrific thing you can put on your resume if you have some experience working with Excel, because it's still the most commonly used spreadsheet software, I think, in the world. A lot of businesses use it. A lot of anybody who has to keep track of scheduling and money will use Excel to do it. So don't watch this video unless you've seen me go through this one, because it probably won't make sense to you unless you know how we did it by hand. Okay, so the first step is I got to open Excel. So I'll just find Excel here. There we go, and open it. And I would like a blank workbook. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the same titles that it has on my piece of paper. So monthly payment goes there, and then in column B, interest payment goes there, and then in column C, I want principal payment. And then in column D, I would like equity. And then in column E, I would like unpaid balance. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to make these columns wider so that I can fit the numbers and so I can read the entire heading. So I just click or hover between the columns and drag it over to as wide as I want them to look. And even though equity is a shorter word, they all still have to have numbers in them. So I'm going to kind of make them all wider. If you want a specific width for a particular reason, like you want in centimeters how wide these columns are on the page, you can go up to the settings up there. The other thing I'm going to do before I start is tell the spreadsheet what kind of numbers I want to put in the spreadsheet. So first of all, I need to figure out how big is my spreadsheet going to be. Well, the first row here, that's actually column or row 2, is just going to have the two numbers that I'm going to start with that are givens. Right? It's given that I made a $20,000 down payment, and it's also a given then that the mortgage I'm buying is $85,000. So everything else after that, I'm more or less going to be calculating, with one little exception. But everything else, everything here is going to be money. So I want to tell the spreadsheet that it's all going to be money. And keep in mind that starting here, month 1, this is a 20-year mortgage. There's 12 months in a year, so I need 240 rows to make this entire spreadsheet. So I need to go down from here, well, actually I might as well start here, down to row 243. So just drag down to the bottom, and it'll go fairly fast when you do that. And down to row 243. 243, there we go. And then I'm going to go up and say, hey, Excel, all the numbers in all these fields are all going to be money. Notice it changed those now to what money looks like, right? With commas for the thousands, decimals for cents. And it will automatically round everything to the nearest cent, which is important because that's the way banks do things. All right, the first thing I got to do is calculate that first monthly payment. Now, you could do that on a piece of scrap paper and then put the number in here, but I want to just use Excel for its full purposes. So remember how I found this number, right? Now, when I entered these two numbers, you notice that I just typed them in. This is going to be a calculation. I'm getting Excel to calculate this number for me, so I actually have to type in an equal sign. I have to do it up here, too. I have to do it on this bar where the calculations are made. So this is going to be equals, which tells Excel to calculate now, and I want the monthly payment, which means I take this unpaid balance, and I could just type this number in, or to save time, I can tell Excel, just take the number from this place. This is the E2 place on the chart. If you've ever played Battleship when you were a kid, this is a very easy system. This particular spot is spot E2, and I can just highlight E2 and then hit enter, or I can actually just type E2, and notice it highlights and tells me which number I'm about to use. So it's that number divided by 1,000, and then times that table number that we looked up from the mortgage table, and that number was 7.12. Now I'm just typing this number. Once you get more into Excel and more sophisticated, you could have a different Excel sheet that was the actual mortgage table, and you could have it look up this number for you without having to punch it in. So that's something for kind of more advanced people with Excel. Anyway, when I hit enter, it now does the calculation for me. And remember, that is the number that we want forever now. Now, again, I could probably go $605.20 and just keep entering it as I go. But boy, that'd be a drag to have to re-enter that number 240 times. Now, don't grab it from here. I'm about to grab this number because this is a formula. It's going to want to recalculate it every time. I just want to use this number every time I put for every month of my mortgage payment. So starting here in month 1, it's $605.20, and then it's the same in month 2, it's the same in month 3, it's the same in month 4. So I can just grab this number and drag down, and remember we were going down to row 243 in the column, which would represent the 240th mortgage payment. And then you go up to here, and this is fill. Click fill down, and it'll just put that number in every single spot. Now remember, it is important that you notice that I grabbed it from where I typed the number in, not from the formula. Because if I filled down the formula, it wouldn't want this to be E2, it would want this to be E3, and I don't have a number in E3. Plus, the number that's going to be in E3 eventually won't be this same number. The mortgage payment doesn't change. That's why I had to use just a data point rather than a calculation. Okay, so there's the first thing about Excel, is that you can do drag downs, and it fills in columns for you. Now, how do I figure out this? Well, this interest payment, of course, is calculated using the I equals PRT formula. So it's a formula. So it's going to be the interest, which is, of course, the principal, which again is this E2 number, times rate, and the rate is 6%, so 0.06. And then times time. Now remember how times time work. Time is 1/12 of a month, so I could times by 1/12, but it's simpler to just say divide by 12. And then there's the interest payment, and it rounds it to the nearest cent. Remember how the principal worked? Principal is the amount of this that goes to principal. So this $605 mortgage payment has $425 of it going to interest, which means that the amount that goes to principal is the A3 number minus the B3 number. And notice it highlights both those things and says, oh, you're going to take this and that and do a calculation. And I'll hit enter, and yes, I do. There we go, 180. Now, remember how equity works. This much got paid to principal, so I now own the $20,000 of the house plus this $180.20 of the house. So I want this to be, oh, I don't need to type that, sorry. I need to type the D2 number, right? So D2, that number, plus the C3 number. And then there we go. Now remember how this one works? This one is going to be the unpaid balance minus how much I just paid to principal. So this one's going to equal the E2 number minus this principal payment, which is again the C3 number. All right, just take a look, and you'll see that those are the exact same numbers we got when we did this calculation by hand. And now that I've set up the formulas, this is the best part. I don't have to redo anything. I just grab all these things here, and I drag them down until I get to my 240th month, or 243, which is the 240th month. There we go. And then I go up and fill down, and it will now calculate everything the way it's supposed to. Fill, down, boom. If you take a look at what we did in class, this was our first month. We got to here. And then our second month numbers, let's make sure that they work. Yeah, $424.10, $181.10, $20,361.30, and $84,638.70. And then we calculated month 3, which is right here, which was $423.19, $182.01, $20,543.31, and the last number, the unpaid balance at the end of month 3, was $84,456.69. So there we go. This is working the way it's supposed to. And what I can do now is I can start to see, it certainly felt when I did the first 3 mortgage payments calculations like that the interest wasn't going down. It's like, God, I'm going to be paying this interest forever. And let's see. You know what? I'm actually going to add a column. I'm going to insert a column. No, let's see. I'm just going to insert. Actually, I don't. You know what? I'm not going to use that. I'm going to just do it this way. There we go. Insert. Simpler this way. An entire column. And notice it didn't change any of the numbers. It just moved everything over. And I'm going to call this month. Month. I'm going to misspell it. Okay, there. Now remember, the months, this isn't the first month. This is my starting place. So this is after my first month's payment right here. So that's month 1. And then I'm going to just count down. And here's a simple way to count. I can just go equals, and this is A3 plus 1. A3 plus 1. There we go, month 2. And then I'm just going to fill that down to the bottom. Down to the 240th month, which would be the end of the mortgage right here. So fill down. There we go, 200. Oh, actually, I have too many here. Anyway, as you can see, by the time I get to the bottom, and I accidentally miscounted, there's actually 240 should be my last mortgage payment. But as you can see, that last mortgage payment, this doesn't quite work out exactly the way it's supposed to. Notice that the last payment here turns out to be $8.70. Notice how little I'm paying towards at the end of the mortgage towards the interest, and how much I'm paying towards the principal. So as I get down to my last couple mortgage payments, this is now 20 years later. So let's kind of go through the mortgage a little more slowly here. So here is the 1 year mark. At the 1 year mark, I'm still making over $400 of every $600 I pay of my mortgage to interest. So 24 at the 2 year mark, still over $400. Let's go to the 10 year mark, which would be 120. The 120th payment, right, would be the 10 year mark. So my 120th payment, look at that. I'm already down to now under $300 goes to interest, and over $300 goes to principal. How about at my 15 year mark, right? The 15 year mark of the mortgage. What's 15 times 12? Let me just double check that I'm doing that right in my head. Yeah, 15 times 12 is 180. So the 180th payment would be at the end of 15 years. At the 180th payment, I'm paying less than $200 in interest and over $400 to principal. This is why when you get a mortgage, it does kind of make sense to stay there and keep on paying for it, because the later you go in the mortgage, the more you are actually owning of your house. So isn't that cool? So you can really see that. And then, of course, by the time you get down to the end of the mortgage, again, you end up that you're paying almost nothing to the actual interest, and almost all of your payment goes to the principal. And there you go. At the end of 20 years, you maybe have a little bit left over due to the difference in interest between what the bank has calculated and what the amortization, or what you've calculated in interest equals principal times rate times time, and what the bank has calculated using the amortization table. Every once in a while, students ask me, they'll say, you know, how do they actually get these numbers? How do they decide that this is the table? And in fact, These come up using, these tables are made by banks using really high levels of math. In fact, they use calculus. If you wondered why to get a business degree at the Asper School of Business, you had to take calculus in high school or pre-calculus in high school so that you could take calculus there, it's because the people who actually set bank rates and interest rates and loan rates actually need calculus to do it. But to actually use these tables, really, it's all just add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So, anyway, back to my Excel. If you've never tried using Excel before, you could try going through these steps and see if you can get this to work. I would recommend maybe that the next assignment you do, and the hand-in assignment that you're going to do, where you have to make one of these tables for me for yourself, it'll be on a piece of paper like that. Feel free to use Excel to check your work and see if they're right before you send it and hand it in. Okay, if you have any other questions about Excel, you could always shoot me a message on Edsby. I'd be more than happy to do a team meeting with you and just show you screen to screen how to do Excel. Thanks for watching, everybody.